Much. And as we move into the final episode today, I will, as always, hand it over to Shreya to introduce today's session, uh, and I will take it over from there. So over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, Vijaya. Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, I would request you all to please keep your videos off and yourselves on mute unless you are speaking. मेरा आप सबसे निवेदन है कि आप अपने videos off रखें और अपने mic को mute पर रखें. I would also request you to please rename your Zoom handles to your name or to the name of your organization. आप सब please अपने Zoom handles को आपके नाम या आपके संस्था के नाम में बदलिए. हम इस सेशन को रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं. We will be recording this session and sharing it with our networks. यदि आप कोई प्रश्न पूछना चाहें तो आप उन्हें chat box में डाल सकते हैं. Please post any questions in the chat box. We will be monitoring these throughout the session and answering them at the end. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday. We are delighted to have you all with us today for our final session of Digital Dialogues 3.0. With the onset of the global pandemic, dialogues at Toolbox India transitioned into digital dialogues to continue to have meaningful conversations with leaders and specialists in the social impact space. Our third edition, which has been running this whole month, has been on post-pandemic or pandemic vignettes, where we have been exploring how nonprofits can move forward with their organization management journey despite the pandemic raging on. We are delighted to have with us today Shamira Purohit, who will be discussing consumption fatigue during this pandemic and how organizations can drive optimal consumption of content for themselves, as well as innovation in media messaging to build visibility in times of unlimited online content. Shamira Purohit grew up in Mumbai, where she got a bachelor's degree in management studies from Mumbai University, followed by a master's in commerce with a focus on marketing from the University of Sydney. She has previously worked as a marketing assistant for Datacom Australia in Sydney, Australia, and currently supports marketing projects on behalf of Toolbox India from time to time. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shamira. And now I'd like to hand it over to Vijaya.
Thank you, Shreya. Good morning to all of you. And as the context has already been set, let's straight away dive into it. Shamira, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All the way from distant Netherlands. Shamira is somebody who's been associated with Toolbox over the years. She's been one of our senior advisors on projects that are largely around marketing, media, social media, engagement, what kind of content you need out there, and so on. So, Shamira, just before we started, that's what we were talking about, right? About the consumption disease and the consumption fatigue that's setting in. If I were just to start with what's currently, a raging conversation is the COVID resurgence in India, and the extent we're consuming so much so that we're actually being told don't consume so much amount of it, right? Because and the connotations that it brings about. Now, actually using that as an example, in the last 1 year since the world went digital, whether we're on one hand telling people that what you need to be out there, you need to promote your organization, you need to get your stories out there. That's one. We've moved to saying that, okay, you know what, we've got time on our hands, which is actually not really true. We're working from home. Let's just educate ourselves more. Let's read up more. So, everybody from LinkedIn to Coursera, they've got all these fantastic free courses. Stanford, MIT has all released free courses. And in this endeavor to learn more, educate ourselves more. I just first of all want to really start with, are we on some sort of a consumption overdrive? Let's just break it down. What is it that we are witnessing? Are we consuming more just because it's out there, because we don't know what else to do? Outdoor, your socializing, your outdoor activities are all restricted. And as a result of it, I first want to start with the behaviors. I just want to spend the first part of this conversation really around the behaviors and what we see emerging with the way content is being thrown at us. Obviously, we will then talk about, what kind of messaging we need.
Yeah.
How do we relay the information we want to give out? But I first want to really start on the whole consumption piece itself, Shamira.
Yes. So what I think is when we started 13 months ago, the consumption part was new. I mean, we had no other options. We had to tweak our business models and go online. So what we had to do was set up meetings online, set up appointments online, and handle these webinars. And initially it was okay, but when you're home and you are attending these sessions for, say, more than 8 hours, I think nobody wants to spend that much time consuming information in front of the computer. They don't have any contact with their colleagues. And how much telephone conversation can you really have? Or digital conversation can you have? So slowly people started getting frustrated that I am attending a webinar today and there's a chance that this will happen tomorrow, because that everybody you need is online. You can see them there, and it's getting way out of hand. And I think overall the information we are sharing in this context is getting out of hand. I mean, it's looking like we can put forward our messages. The organizations have all the remedies here, and we are just few clicks away, but that is not the way it goes. It has to have a small option where you can see, take information, what is actually needed, depending on the current situation. So like currently the pandemic is roaring again. So we cannot just go online and spend a lot of time and say that we have to have like 5 sessions and, people will come and attend because everybody is home again.
Correct.
But instead of doing a 5-session webinar, we can go to 1 session and have like a short version of it, and maybe discuss one problem at this moment, and maybe after a few weeks, or depending on the situation, what are the rules, restrictions, we can go to the next topic and start conversing more about it. Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. See, I think one of the biggest things that we've thrown at organizations is like, the thing about coming to know about an organization's program, up ground पे जाके site project sites पे जाके वो देखने का, that has been taken away, right? Regardless of the extent of progress that any organization's program is delivering on the ground, fact of the matter remains is there is no way for you to experience that anymore, right?
Yeah.
There was a time, whether they were donors, agencies, whether from India or from overseas, they were visiting. There was this whole thing built around it. Organizations ka foundation day nahi hai hamara, but a lot of organizations who run education-based programs or youth career mentorship programs, jo bhi hai, they had this wonderful foundation day. People would come. That's been taken away. Annual events, gala events, a lot of those have been taken away, and we moved to digital. So the question is कि Shamira, आपको क्या लगता है कि that and a lot of them have moved to the virtual format. I know for a fact that Toolbox's 10th year, which is our 10th year, which is a big milestone, we're going to do a virtual event. It is going to be a virtual. Now, उसमें opportunity भी है, और जो traditionally opportunities, you can probably have a wider reach. The negative thing is that extent of emotive appeal is not really there, because end of the day, I'm seeing a tile on my laptop. How are organizations really supposed to kind of manage this? एक तो ये है. दूसरा, is this something that is going to be short term, or organizations should also prepare that this could really be the new way of managing events? Because Shamira, I'm just going to layer this with one more thing कि जो organizations को overseas funding वगैरह मिलता है, FCRA के amendment में ये आया है कि ऐसे इवेंट्स वगैरह आर इन एडमिन एक्सपेंसेस
Yeah.
and that has been significantly curtailed. So there's also
Yeah.
that additional sort of a boundary condition which has been placed on organizations. So how should NGOs be looking at this?
So currently, I mean, if we were talking about a gala or big sort of events, they are again going to be restricted to a format of a webinar. I mean, you will see many people talking to each other, and there is no novelty now left in this concept. Maybe a year before, when everything was new, people were like, okay, fine, like let's go, let's meet everybody. It's We won't have time to contact people and won't be able to do. But what organizations are doing in terms of um, attracting donors or contacting their clients, that is something they can do on the individual basis and depending on the restrictions they have. So like with India, like till recently it was doing really well. Like there was not really a COVID pandemic going on. People were able to move around and people were able to handle their project much more efficiently compared to a situation in a country like Netherlands, where there is a lockdown going on since last 6 months. So depending on that, currently the situation is restricted, but we should give each other a time of maybe 6 to 12 months where uh, there'll be more vaccination, there will be more clarity from the government what is going on, and based on that, stick to all the hygiene related issues with COVID-19, safety of the employees. And based on that, we have to move the segment digitally, use the social media more into this option and put the stories there, appeal to people through all the social media channels. And that will be the way to go for the next 6 to 12 months. A lot of experts are saying that by 2022, things will be back to normal when a large population will be vaccinated. But till then, it will be a slightly restricted approach.
Okay. Shamina, I'm just picking up on something that you mentioned, two, three things. आपने social media की बात करा,
Yeah.
आपने stories की बात करा, and I want to spend a little bit more time on this,
Yeah.
okay? Because social media जब बात आती है, हम लोग सोचते हैं कि चलो हम लोग Facebook पे डालते जा रहे हैं, वही कंटेंट लेकर हम लोग थोड़ा Instagram में भी डालते हैं.
Yeah.
आजकल तो LinkedIn पे भी कुछ human stories दिखाने लगे
Yeah.
हैं, which is otherwise it's an excellent professional networking platform.
Yeah.
तो आप थोड़ा सा हमें समझाइए, क्योंकि एक तरह से हम लोग NGOs को बोल रहे हैं, organizations को बोल रहे हैं, leverage these,
Yeah.
but उसमें काफी fatigue आ गया है.
Yeah.
How does an organization get its messaging out there? मतलब, what are there are no hard and fast rules, because
Yeah,
again,
true.
ये तो होते रहते कि किस किस्म के लगाना चाहिए,
Okay.
फ्रीक्वेंसी क्या रहेगा, उसके ऊपर हमें कितना भी, and we are going to keep trying this
Yeah.
a lot. तो आप थोड़ा बताइए.
सो अभी अगर सोशल मीडिया पे देखा जाए तो काफी सारे लोग 1 से 2 मिनट के वीडियोस अपलोड करते रहते हैं, तो उसे रील्स बोलते हैं, आईजीटीवी बोलते हैं. तो आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की जो इंफॉर्मेशन रहती है, या आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगर अभी कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट काम कर रही है, तो ये सब इंफॉर्मेशन एक छोटे से वीडियो में एक पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक के ऊपर वो डाल देते हैं और आपका सपोर्ट यूज करते थे. तो ये एक अच्छी बात है. अभी अगर आप मे बी आपका जो सोशल मीडिया हैंडल करने वाले लोग हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की तरफ से, वो आपकी क्लाइंट बेस को जो अभी आप काम कर रहे हैं उसकी थोड़ी इंफॉर्मेशन अगर आपके इंस्टाग्राम, फेसबुक पेज पे या ट्विटर पे डाल दे, तो उससे लोगों को काफी जानकारी होगी कि ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अभी ये सब काम कर रहे हैं. उसके अलावा आप फोटो एसेस भी कर सकते हैं अगर आपको इन पर्सन जाना मुश्किल है इन जगहों पे रिस्ट्रिक्शंस की वजह से. तो आप फोटोज निकाल सकते हैं कि देखिए हमने पिछले कुछ महीनों में ये काम किया है और अगले कुछ महीनों में अगर ये काम करने वाले हैं तो आप हमें उस तरह का सपोर्ट दे सकते हैं। तो वो सब डाल सकते हैं। प्लस आप पर्सनल एसेस लिख सकते हैं। वहाँ काफी पेजेस है इंस्टाग्राम पे, आप इंस्टाग्राम फेसबुक पे आप एक तरह टाइम पे अराउंड 10 फोटोज डाल सकते हैं। तो जो राइटअप आप करते हैं आपकी सपोज एक पर्टिकुलर क्लाइंट के बारे में कि वो उसे आपने कैसे मदद की और आप और लोगों को कैसे मदद करना चाहते हैं, तो वो सब इंफॉर्मेशन आप वहां पे लिख के लोगों को बता सकते हैं कि ये आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एम है। और इसके अलावा अभी करंटली मैंने नोटिस किया है कि पैंडेमिक में काफी सारे इन्फ्लुएंसर्स जो है
हम्म,
वो लोगों को मदद कर रहे हैं। तो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स अगर आप जनरली देखें तो कमर्शियल प्रोडक्ट्स वो लोग या सर्विसेज प्रमोट करते रहते हैं। उन्हें कंपनीज पैसे देती है या वो कंपनीज को अप्रोच करके कुछ फ्री सर्विसेज मंगवाते हैं और उसके बारे में वो लोग सोशल मीडिया पे बात करते रहते हैं। तो जनरली उनका जो मॉडल है वो नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट, नॉट एनजीओ से मिलता जुलता नहीं है। बट ये ऐसे समय में ये लोग काफी इंपॉर्टेंट रहते हैं क्योंकि इनका यूजर बेस बहुत बड़ा रहता है। लाइक कुछ कुछ लोगों के 1-1, 2-2, 5-5 लाख सब फॉलोअर्स रहते हैं। और इनके अभी अभी मैंने नोटिस किया है कि ये लोग काफी सारे लोगों को बता रहे हैं कि आप हमें इंफॉर्मेशन भेज दीजिए कि अगर किसी को किसी चीजों की जरूरत है क्या। तो ये इंफॉर्मेशन ये लोग रेगुलरली शेयर कर रहे हैं। ये इसमें एनजीओ एंड नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट्स के नाम भी डाल रहे हैं कि वो लोग क्या क्या कर रहे हैं अभी लोगों के लिए।
So Shamira, this is extremely interesting आप जो बात कर रहे हो, because you know I think in the before COVID world
Yeah.
हमें लगता था कि every organization should have a celebrity ambassador, you know, brand ambassador, and there've been a lot of celebrities who have lent their name for a
Yeah.
particular cause, you know, and I think those are wonderful. They are nice, and a lot of them also अभी खुद के foundations है, जैसे हम अगर दीपिका पादुकोण के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, we know that she's promoting a lot on the depression, mental health space. Virat Kohli and Anushka Sharma are very committed to pet welfare, you know, animal welfare, वो सब है. But it's very interesting that you brought this up कि Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, subscribers, and these are not necessarily people who are superstars.
No.
They are ordinary people who have an interesting point of view about something, and there's an entire audience which is consuming them. Correct? So I want to pick up on this. ये जो influencers की आप बात करते हो, हाल ही फिलहाल तो right now, you know, the biggest thing on social media फिलहाल जो चल रहा है is they are doing crowdfunding for the purchase of very specific to oxygen concentrators. ताकि घरों में छोटे मतलब जिन हॉस्पिटल्स दिल्ली में ऑक्सीजन बेड्स नहीं है, they are able to provide these small oxygen concentrators और जो भी बोलते हैं, तो उसके लिए काफी फंडिंग चल रहा है. Now something very specific to that, अगर आप ये Instagram, YouTube influencers के पास जाओगे, they will definitely do it. It is almost like a crowdfunding thing. It is the need of the hour. But what if organizations want to kind of reach out to influencers to promote a cause? तब क्या होगा? क्या ये लोग करेंगे? अगर अप्रोच करना चाहते हैं, what are the things that people must understand? अगर हम किसी के पास जाना चाहते हैं, उसका हिडन कॉस्ट क्या हो सकता है इन योर एक्सपीरियंस?
सो ये इन्फ्लुएंसर्स रहते हैं, उसमें भी आपको मतलब अभी मेन जरूरत ये है कि उनकी प्रोफाइल्स को आपको देखनी चाहिए कि वो लोग किस तरह के प्रोडक्ट्स प्रमोट करते हैं। इफ इट्स कंप्लीटली कमर्शियल जो आपकी एथिक्स से मिलते जुलते नहीं है, then these influencers are not really useful to you. But there are these pages who are promoting photojournalism, like if you have heard of Humans of Bombay. तो Humans of Bombay काफी सारे causes को promote करते हैं. They also promote simple things, but वो एक फोटो लेते हैं आपका या आपकी कुछ अगर आप जरूरत में हो या आप किसी नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के थ्रू आए हो तो आपकी सारी स्टोरीज वो प्रमोट करते हैं। तो उस तरह के अगर इन्फ्लुएंसर्स है तो वो आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए काफी जरूरत है। इंडिविजुअल इन्फ्लुएंसर्स आर गुड बट इट नीड्स अ लॉट ऑफ क्लेंजिंग बिकॉज
Okay.
इतने सारे लोग हैं, कुछ कुछ लोगों के काफी सारे प्रमोटर्स है एंड आई थिंक दे डोंट माइंड helping you because it gives them, you know, a good image in the market that look like they are promoting these products but they are also doing some social work. But is that something you want, or you want someone who has been consistent promoting social causes, you know, animal welfare or, you know, feminism, like these sort of things? And depending on that you should approach them. But currently a lot of them are good because they are promoting COVID related causes. They are
Yes.
I mean using the social media they're creating. I've also read there's a Twitter handle they have created, so you can
Okay.
find information about beds and plasma donors and all the oxygen tanks in your area, suburb wise, city wise. So these sort of things they are currently doing. But it's again, you have to go through their profile, you have to see what they have done so far, and if this is something you need for your organization. They are good source, but it's a bit it's a gray area.
No, very well said, because I think for a lot of us who are just beginning to navigate and understand the nuances of the digital media world, celebrities में तो मतलब काफी
Yeah,
कुछ information बहुत public, because they're such large public figures.
yeah,
Of course, these are also public figures now, you
yeah,
know. But
yeah.
you're right. I think it's important. I think Shamira ji जो कह रहे हैं कि I think just like companies do a lot of homework before they decide to
Yeah,
engage a celebrity
yeah,
to promote their product.
yeah,
Matlab, they in fact go to see what all are the kind of products they are associated with, what are the kind of endorsements, and you
yeah,
know they have all kind of legal requirements. I think it's important we kind of explore, you know, before you decide to go to them. But I think for a very specific sort of a thing, filhal jo organizations are working in health services, working with the communities, very specifically addressing very critical requirements, right? Then this to reach out to influencers simply because unke paas wo reach hai, it's a
yeah.
good thing. You know, on Facebook, I work, well, I'm introduced to this gentleman called Mohit Raj, who's working in the cause of social justice in Delhi. And right now, he is mobilized a citizens action group where they are going and ensuring cylinders are being
Yeah,
reached out to wherever.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that is, it's almost like it's trending right now, that post.
yeah,
I won't say trending, at least within our networks. All
yeah.
of us are this thing. But it's interesting, Shamira, aap jo keh rahe ho, because I remember that there is one more figure on Facebook called Luke Coutinho, who promotes a lot on uh, good health
Yeah,
practices, mindfulness,
yeah,
what you should be eating.
yeah,
And now he's associated with a brand called Two Brothers Organic in Maharashtra,
yeah,
where there's a lot of organic food, organic
yeah,
produce, and it's very, very transparent. Matlab, on Facebook, you can go to their websites, they have videos of their
yeah,
factories,
yeah,
and putting it all out there. So I think transparency, authenticity, I
yeah,
think verification is a big responsibility
yeah, yeah,
on everybody.
yeah.
Um, I wanna talk about, we spoke about the fact that, we spoke about videos which need to be
Yeah.
there, their interest. We spoke about the influencers. I
Hmm.
want to talk about sort of storytelling,
Hmm.
okay? And what is it that's really going to uh, you know uh, help people remember. And my favorite examples are simply because they are etched in my memory, Shamira. दो चीजें जो पिछले साल हमने देखा,
Yeah.
जब वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड जो बॉम्बे से, कश्मीरी सिक्योरिटी गार्ड बॉम्बे से वो कश्मीर साइकिलिंग करके गया, एंड आफ्टरवर्ड्स द इंडियन एयरफोर्स एयरलिफ्टेड हिम बिकॉज हिज
Yeah.
फादर हैड अ स्ट्रोक. दूसरे was that girl जो बिहार she cycled she put her father on the back seat of the bicycle
Yeah.
and she cycled him back. Now, those were stories of resilience for us.
Mhm.
There is the Healing Himalayas founders videos who
Mhm.
always inspire me because उनके videos जितना Himalayas के beauty दिखाते हैं,
Mhm.
he also shows they clean up. Healing Himalayas is they pick up garbage.
Yeah.
So he shows kachada uta ke. He's showing
Mhm.
the kachada
Yeah.
which they become. These are things which kind
Yeah.
of are etched,
Hmm.
and I think storytelling more than ever is very, very important.
Yeah.
Uh, what should organizations do? Because frankly, it's not easy to come up with creative storytelling each
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Given that all that's happening right now, the world is not able to think. India right now is not able to think anything beyond COVID.
Yeah.
Uh, my thing would be that at this moment when attention is somewhere else, even if you were to put in all your energy and bring out something
Mhm.
kuch, you may not. You may. It's also about timing.
Mhm.
So my two things to you are how how do organizations get a little bit creative in their storytelling, and what is it about timing? I feel that when things like Diwali and Dashera and all come, it's
Hmm.
always good to have optimistic storytelling
Yeah.
because these festivals for us in India,
Yeah.
they overall signify
Hmm.
hope and so on. Yes, please.
Mhm. So with storytelling, I feel that maybe one or two stories of a small, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, if we consider a video of showing it to people, is good, like on an annual basis. So we get some more time. We see that what we have done in a span of say 6 to 8 months, and what can we tell the audience. With storytelling, I feel that audience need to know what with the current scenario, what the organization, how it helped people, and how what kind of support it got from the general public if they have managed to attract. So on social media, what campaigns they run, how they manage the safety part of the COVID restrictions, and combining all of these, they can come up with a few points that they can put in a story. But this needs, yeah, I think, how should I put it? It needs to see what is happening a little before this COVID pandemic started, and what happened during the pandemic. So I think people will be able to relate that the organizations were making the efforts, but
Right?
this 3 to 4 months of extra efforts made the organization stand out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to just take a quick pause for a moment because mujhe audience say, we've spent about 30
Yeah.
minutes really talking about
Yeah.
social media messaging and so on.
Yeah.
And since for us, the conversation really is around digital consumption, right? Now digital
Yeah.
consumption is not just around the marketing and the social media part of it. It's
Yeah.
also, we spoke about content for
Yeah.
learning and training and
Yeah.
and development, and then there's the third part which is really around team meetings and catch ups.
Yeah.
So mujhe, I just want to understand from the audience, and you can just put up a show of hands if you'd like. That just makes it very easy for us out here. For those of you in the participant group, how many of you have been attending webinars, or has as at in your organization you've actually uh, conducted webinars, trainings, or whatever? And I'm going to ask even people on my team to respond to this and give me a show of hands because I definitely want to ask a couple of questions.
I attended one.
Okay, I've attended. Who else? People, it has to go beyond just Shamira and me. So I'm looking at the audience here. There's an icon where you can raise. Alifia has raised. Who else? I can see Kulwant Singh Ji raising his hand. Jerry, Meenal, wonderful. Uh, Okay.
I am attending. I am attending.
You are attending. Okay. And very quickly, I see that Mr. Narsim Murthy has also raised his hand. Shaila has raised her hand. Now, if I could just quickly ask for a couple of audience responses, and maybe Shaila, Kuljit, Kulwant Singh ji, आप दोनों हमें बता सकते हैं आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या रहा जब आपने वेबिनार अटेंड किया, वो किस किस्म का वेबिनार था, वो ड्यूरेशन कितना था, और जब आप वो अटेंड कर रहे थे, हाउ डिड यू फाइंड योरसेल्फ, were you engaged, were you not engaged, after what point, and Sandeep as well, who said he's attended to. So just a couple of responses, because I think it will set the context for how I want to get Shamira's inputs on this afterwards. So Shaila, Sandeep, Kulwant ji, anybody can start in any particular order. Who would like to go?
Permit, I can share a couple of thoughts.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think very particularly with the beginning of this pandemic, more than a year ago now, we have been, organizing a lot of webinars. Because earlier we were doing,
आवाज थोड़ा सा आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
नहीं, आवाज आ रहा है सर का, आ रहा है सर का आवाज.
allow me to put this so that you are able to hear me. I'll just put it that. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. So I actually work in areas of what we call urban basic services. These urban basic services include water, sanitation, solid waste management, also urban transport and energy. These are the areas in which we generally work. And we have been organizing capacity building programs, a lot of training, and also doing to some extent consultancy. But with the beginning of the pandemic and the bigger lockdown that we started in India in particular, we did not have a choice other than moving to virtual webinars, because these webinars did provide a lot of connectivity, and it also encouraged, as a matter of fact, a lot of participation also perforce. To just give you an instance, for example, during this pandemic period, the biomedical waste in particular increased in large quantity, because people were also those who were isolating themselves at home. They were also, their waste was getting collected separately. Local governments, municipalities did not have the facilities to manage them, dispose them of, and all that. So we had to, for example, address those issues virtually. And that was perhaps the right way to do that. Similarly, I'll give you another example where perhaps I think another area where we work is also on urban transport. And as a result that, uh, COVID behavior wanted people to keep distance of, 2 meter or wearing mask, and things like that. They tried to avoid using public transport. First of all, public transport did not become available. And when it was made available, people were reluctant to use that. So basically, when we have been talking to, I would say people, also with the bus operators, also with manufacturers and others. We have been trying to understand how, as a matter of fact, we can really ensure that public transport continues to be relevant in the world as a whole. So I think virtual, uh, I would say that digital, whatever name you give it, these training programs, webinars, and also using, I would say, social media or promoting them in particular has been extremely, extremely useful. We could reach out to not only our own internal people within the country, but that also gave a wonderful opportunity bringing best practices from all over the world,
Okay.
you know, because like, for example, Shamira is talking today from Netherlands. There are others, I'm sure, talking from different parts of the world. So digital world has brought the whole world together in one sense, and people now start understanding how they can really, you know, take care of some of their own problems in this regard. I
Thank
think
you.
I'll
Thank you
stop
so
at
much.
that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I just want to very quickly get Sandeep's response. Sandeep from Shoratgarh Education Society. Sandeep, you mentioned that you had, you were part of 2 webinars. And do you want to kind of share your thoughts? Were they webinars organized by you or something that you attended? And really, if you've been a participant, what has worked and what does not really work? So Sandeep, if you're there, could we hear from you?
Sure, sure. Hello, everyone. I am Sandeep, and I am working with SES. And SES is working in Uttar Pradesh from last 35 years. पिछले एक साल में, if we talk about last 1 year, तो it was quite challenging for NGOs like us, because we have faced several challenges like funding, like we are a grassroots organization, so it is very challenge for us to work in this situation. If I talk about the online sessions, so it is an opportunity as well as it's a kind of finding the gaps we have in our system. अगर बात करें कि जैसे मैंने जो वेबिनार अभी अटेंड किया, तो एक MIT का एक सॉल्व है जहाँ सोल्यूशन देना है कि जो डिजिटल डिवाइस है एजुकेशन को लेके, वो कैसे, तो हमारे जो रिसोर्स पार्टनर हैं जो कि न्यूयॉर्क बेस्ड हैं, उनके साथ हमने पिछले 3 दिन, कल ही खत्म हुआ वो, 18 आवर्स हम लोग ने उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया और काफी डिस्कशन हुआ। तो ऑनलाइन में एक चीज ये देखने को मिली कि आप उन लोगों तक भी पहुंच सकते हैं जहां तक आपकी पहुंच नहीं थी शायद। हम जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो कि हम लोग सब लेटिंग के थ्रू बाकी माध्यम से काम करते थे, अब हम डायरेक्टली पहुंच पा रहे हैं ऑनलाइन। और इंटरनली बात करें तो जैसे हम लोग 1500 लड़कियों के साथ लखनऊ में काम करते हैं, और हम लोग सेशंस करते हैं, एम्पावरमेंट सेशन करते हैं, डिजिटल क्लासेस करते हैं, इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग क्लासेस करते हैं। तो लास्ट ईयर जब ये चैलेंज आया तो हम लोग को लगा हम काम कैसे करें, क्योंकि इट्स पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ, हम लोग के लाइफ का पार्ट हो गया। कोरोना है तो लगता है कि इट्स न्यू नॉर्मल काइंड ऑफ थिंग। तो हम लोग ने ऑनलाइन, हम लोग ने अपने डोनर्स से बात की कैसे हम लोग काम करें। तो उनके कुछ वॉलंटियर्स थे ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, जो जैसे इंग्लिश क्लासेज होती थी, तो वो हम लोग ने, जितने हम लोग के बच्चे थे, हम लोग ने ये पहले कोशिश की जानने की उनके पास स्मार्टफोन्स हैं या सिस्टम्स हैं घर में। तो अधिकतर स्मार्टफोन्स 70% बच्चों के पास थे जहाँ पे हम लोग काम कर रहे थे। तो छोटे छोटे ग्रुप पे वहां से ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग शुरू हुई, और एक काफी अच्छा, छोटे छोटे जो पहले हम 20 बच्चों के साथ एक ऑफलाइन करते थे, वो 4 बच्चों के साथ ऑनलाइन करके डेफिनेटली टाइम हमारा बढ़ गया, काम का चीज बढ़ गया। लेकिन एक कमजोरी जो हम लोग को दिखी कि जो हमारे सिस्टम्स हैं, अगर हम बात करें एजुकेशन की, जैसे पिछले साल वर्चुअली बहुत पढ़ाई, लेकिन बहुत सारे बच्चे थे जिनको एक्सेस नहीं मिल पाया, शायद उनके पास स्मार्टफोन नहीं थे, या कुछ माँ बाप ऐसे थे जो कि हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट में काम करते, तो वो चले जाते थे ड्यूटीज पे, तो बच्चों के पास फोन नहीं होते थे क्लास अटेंड करने को। तो एक कमजोरी जो है कि कैसे अगर इस तरह की सिचुएशन फ्यूचर में भी बनती है, कोरोना तो आई, तो कैसे हम इस जो एक लो रिसोर्स सेटिंग में, अगर एजुकेशन की बात करें तो लो रिसोर्स सेटिंग में कैसे हम उन बच्चों तक पहुंच सकते हैं कैसे उनका पार्टिसिपेशन बढ़ सकता है और साथ ही साथ कैसे एक जो लर्निंग आउटकम जो आना चाहिए, जो इम्प्रूव हो सकता है बच्चों का ऑनलाइन, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन में बहुत सारे चैलेंज जो फेस टू फेस हम कर सकते हैं, शायद वर्चुअली हम उतना नहीं कर पाते हैं। अटेंशन स्पैन शायद कम होता है, इंटरेस्ट कम हो जाता है, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। तो वो सब चीजें तो ऑनलाइन करने में फायदे भी हैं बहुत, जैसे मैंने बताया कि हम उन लोगों तक पहुंच सके जहां तक पहुंच नहीं पाए थे। दूसरी तरफ जो गैप्स थे, जहाँ पे एजुकेशन की अगर बात करें तो बच्चों को एक्सेस कैसे मिले, तो काफी चीज सीखने को मिली और सीख रहे हैं हम लोग।
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to very quickly, just ask both Alifia and Ruchika, who are there in the audience, to respond. Alifia, I would actually, and both Alifia and Ruchika, both of you attend a lot of webinars, interest in the pursuit of learning, in the pursuit of increasing your own awareness about things, and you also organize a lot of these these training cohorts and sessions and so on. Can you very quickly give me what has worked for you as a, when you're in the audience, which you've actually taken in the way you are structuring possibly some of the sessions that we do? So very quickly, if I could get your responses, and then I will go back to Shamira. So Alifia and Ruchika, over to you.
Hi, Vijay. So, absolutely right in that I have taken quite a bit from the sessions that I've attended to know what the right thing to do is when we organize sessions as well. But I think the major thing would be speaking at the level of your audience and really recognizing their needs. This is something that a lot of webinars miss because it's about what we want to say, not what people want to hear, and this is where the gap I think comes in a lot of webinars, because you as an organization sort of recognize something as being important and you talk about that because this is what is important for my organization and this is what I want to tell people and I think people should know. And it becomes a very I thing, I think this. Whereas I think not to not to talk us up, but I think the difference that we have, the thing that we do is we do something called a needs assessment, which to people might think is a very simple sort of kuch questions pooch liye, form bana liya, I don't know why I'm answering this, but that really sets the tone of what we speak about and why we speak about the things that we do. And that's where I think the differentiation factor comes in with webinars. When you speak at the level that people are expecting and the things that people want to hear. That's, I think, the main thing for me. Everything else is sort of secondary.
Okay, thank you for that. Alifia, just coming to you now. You attend a ton of webinars. You've also conducted a session. I know Alifia is also one of my co-workers, and Shamira, she spoke to aspiring um, uh, students who were graduating and were aspiring to go abroad. She's an LSE alumnus, and so she also conducted a session. And so, Alifia, when you're sitting in listening into a lot of the webinars, what have you found has not worked for you? क्योंकि आपने बहुत सारे webinars में you have a diverse range of interests. So sitting in the audience, when have you found that webinar didn't hold your attention? Was it the time, the duration, what was being said, or the treatment of the topic? Can you just quickly tell us about that?
So I think the webinars currently that I've attended, I feel there is a big difference between you wanting to disseminate knowledge and your audience wanting to learn. So over there, that there's a big gap because very often the manner in which the content is delivered is not apt for me to learn. So like the use of examples, the use of case studies, the use of really like breaking it down and like giving time to each concept rather than just running through the whole thing from A to Z really helps in the learning for me. Like even our attention spans are really low. So even if I don't pay attention for like 15 seconds and they've gone from A to just they've jumped through the whole thing, it becomes very difficult to hold my attention. And secondly, this is a lot for me, but I'm primarily a visual learner. I like to see when something is being presented in front of me. I like to see charts. I like to see diagrams, use of colors, because that's something that I take home with me. When I try to recall the information, that's what plays up on my screen. So very often in a learning setting, when these webinars are only like people are speaking, I tend to lose out on the conversation and I can't draw myself back in.
Understood. Thank you. That's very helpful. And Shamira, I just want to build upon this now. Okay. Because when we're talking about content, एक तो ये है कि अपने audience में there are organizations to trainings कर रहे हैं. Correct. दूसरा ये है कि many times we also want to use webinars to somewhere talk a little bit about our work and so on, right? Which may or may not always hold the audience. Can, and I'm just trying to build on this and I'm thinking as we speak, can a webinar be used to really, people use webinars also to promote the cause of what they're doing. But there can be subtle ways of doing it because हम सीधा बैठ के बोलेंगे education है, ये इधर ये नहीं हो रहा है. It's not going to hold somebody's attention. My question to you is very specific. How can organizations leverage the power that a webinar can actually have in drawing attention to their cause or program? उसमें ट्रीटमेंट क्या रहेगा, ड्यूरेशन क्या रहना चाहिए और एक्चुअली किस चीज पे बात करना चाहिए? Over to you.
तो अभी किसी ने चैट में जस्ट लिखा था कि अप्रोक्सीमेटली 45 to 60 मिनट्स के जो वेबिनार रहते हैं, ये अच्छा टाइम फ्रेम है. मैंने जो लास्ट ईयर अटेंड किया था वेबिनार, उसमें I was a possible donor for this particular webinar, and what they did was they were helping number of underage girls to get education in rural Maharashtra, and they had a number of volunteers from overseas. So उन्होंने उन सबको उस वेबिनार में इंक्लूड किया, और एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज उन्होंने कही कि अगर करंटली किसी को वॉलंटियर बनना है तो वो बन नहीं सकते बिकॉज कोविड पैंडेमिक शुरू है, बट आप पैसों से मदद कर सकते हैं. तो ये आप एक्सपर्ट्स को उसमें उस वेबिनार में इंट्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं बिकॉज एक्सपर्ट्स के पास इंफॉर्मेशन रहती है, टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंफॉर्मेशन रहती है, या कहीं रिसोर्सेस आपको चाहिए उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन रहती है, और वो एग्जाम्पल्स भी अच्छे से दे सकते हैं कि आप क्या क्या कर सकते हैं. सो एज आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगर कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन मिस कर रही है तो ये एक्सपर्ट्स आपके वेबिनार्स में आके आपको बता सकते हैं कि आपको इस जगह डायरेक्शंस में देखना चाहिए, और ये सब चीजें आपको एक रास्ता दिखा सकती है कि आप नया अगर वेबिनार ये कर सकते हैं. एंड ऑल्सो एज अलिफिया सेड दैट वी कैन इंट्रोड्यूस चार्ट्स एंड photos and information which people can see, like, look, this is currently happening, and then if this is going to be the future goal, then what we should do. So ये सब चीजें अगर इकट्ठा करें तो हम एक नया वेबिनार को लुक दे सकते हैं, और लोगों का भी उसमें इंटरेस्ट रहेगा, और क्वेश्चन आंसर सर्वेज ये सब चीजें तो और भी मदद कर सकती है इसमें.
So Shamira, one of the things I've also felt is any organization which is running a program and whatever the cause is, उनका alignment बहुत strong रहता है, right? Like if like in the audience, like if I see Vandana and the fantastic organization of WeCare, the cause that her organization is supporting is very, very close to her heart. Or Sandeep, we just heard Sandeep from Shuratkar talking about it. Now, while definitely that connect and that passion is very, very palpable, I think many times for organizations, and please, again, I'm not directing this to Vandana or to Sandeep, please, let me just put it out there. Many times a lot of organizations, founders, people, not just founders, people associated with the organization are able to talk about the entirety of the problem that they're trying to solve, which in that sense, somebody from the outside may not fully be able to sort of understand or absorb it, or they don't understand, they can't relate to the depth or the seriousness of that particular problem, right? And these are the times, I think, if you want to talk about your organization, to have a couple of people who are outside of the program, maybe somebody who's part of your advisors, who's a little bit distanced from the actual execution of the program and its operations, but is connected to the organization, can give a different sort of a view and a perspective, which may be able to, which the audience is able to relate to. अगर मैं toolbox की बात कर रही हूँ, sometimes I may go into very specific about what we are doing. यही बात अगर somebody who's associated, or maybe you, आप as one of our advisors, जब आप बात करते हो, and let us say we were doing a webinar just about toolbox, I may talk about program हम लोग ऐसे करते हैं ये वो, but when you talk about it, you are not talking about so much into the operations and specifics, but you're talking about the larger sort of thing and brings in a different perspective. And sometimes audiences can relate to that better, isn't it? It's not about just bringing in people to support and to give testimonials. वो बात नहीं है, but having different people talk about it can actually allow for multiple perspectives to come in. And I think that would be a sort of a learning that comes about. And you're right, Jerry, I absolutely agree with it that a webinar should never be sort of a one-way thing कि मतलब ये plug in करके जो उसके लिए Coursera है, Udemy है, Unacademy है और बहुत सारे wonderful learning courses है. But I think more than ever अगर हम लोग audience के साथ connect नहीं करेंगे, if we don't hear from them, then it's a one-way street. It makes it very difficult, right?
Yeah.
And so actually on that note, I actually, before I go back to the last segment to ask Shamira a couple of questions, I want to actually hear from the audience, would any of you like to share your experiences when you've attended a webinar, something which stood out, something that you liked, something that you did in your organization, or you're having a challenge around it? This is a good time to ask us some of those questions. So we're just throwing it open to the audience right now. Yes, Meenal and then Jerry, happy to have you both. So Meenal could go first and then Jerry, we could then take it up from you. Yes, Meenal, over to you. And could you switch on your camera when you speak, please? Thank you.
Hello, madam. Good afternoon. I'm Narsimurthy from Karnataka.
Mr. Narsamurthy, can I just request you to wait, because I know Meenal and Jerry raised their hands. So who would like to go? I'll come back to you next.
Fine.
So Meenal, if you're speaking, we're waiting for you. Otherwise, Jerry, you can please switch on your camera, unmute yourself and speak. Okay, can Jerry and Meenal hear us? Or was this a question, or did they raise their hands earlier? Not fully sure. I'm unable to unmute. Is the host, have you muted all the participants?
I can unmute.
Both Jerry and Meenal are able to unmute. Mimansa, Shriya, could you take a look at that? While they are unmuting, I will allow Mr. Narsimurthy and then Mr. Sharanappa to go. Yes, Mr. Narsimurthy, please go ahead.
Hello, madam. Good afternoon. I'm Narsimurthy, working with Abhiruddhi, Karnataka.
Yes.
Mainly, we work in Tumkur, Kodagu, and Hassan, Bengaluru, madam.
Namaskara, ಹೆಂಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Actually, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಹೇಳಿ.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ. We are working 3 districts, madam. Mainly, we work with many networks. We are going with many works. They are actually increasing, supporting for the NGO due diligence for the getting of 161 parameters of NGO to get the support from the CSR company and other donor agency. Legal aspects and all those things, they are support for us. is the webinar. In first month, we have had a only one meeting. That whole year has been in webinar, madam. Around NGOs have been involved in Karnataka. They are supporting for us. That is the one thing we are. It is very useful. But sometimes what we feel to having one-to-one interaction is better than webinar, because this is Western country system. For Indians, it is little digesting problem for us, because we are all in a rural area and rural area people, and we are all level workers. Even though we are struggling and we are gaining knowledge and learning it. And we works with women trafficking, madam. One small support we are getting from the My Choice Foundations through Hyderabad. Maybe you heard of that. They are supporting for us. This is also we are doing in the webinar programs. They used to conduct meeting with our staff through Zoom meeting. And we have selected some village, madam. Small village itself, it should not be happen. Children's trafficking, women trafficking. For that, we are having a village rakshak and one nodal teachers. That is the school itself. We used to conduct for them webinar meeting, but that is little difficulty because that is in a rural area. They can't access internet connections and they doesn't have very good handset mobiles.
Correct.
These are all the problem we are facing into that. And one more thing, we works with the campaign child labor. This is the entire around 142. This is also in a one kind of Zoom meeting. These are all the things it's going on, and up and downs is there, madam. This is my experience. Thanks for giving opportunity to sharing you all this, madam. And we work with the Kodagu Rebuild project that we have constructed around houses. Those have been lost their houses in the flood affected, supported by Habitat for Humanity and Rotary. And we work child helpline. We are getting, because of this COVID-19, we are getting many child marriages in the rural area because of reducing of the cost, and boy and girls, they will be liking, they run away from the house. These are all the programs, these pandemic situations we are facing, and this is the challenging for us to work in the field. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Narasimhamurthy. I think you're right. I think human beings are social creatures. We work so much better when we are face to face. But I think I also believe that human spirit, the resilience and adaptability is very strong, which is why we are all found our ways to adapt. As for the point you made about the digital divide and the last mile receptivity and usage of digital mediums, that is a challenge. And I know that the good people at the Digital Empowerment Foundation, led by the brilliant Osama Manzar, is really looking to really train people at the last mile to be able to use all of it. I don't want to go on adding to it. And so we'll just quickly go now to Meenal and Jerry, since I guess you are able to unmute yourselves. So, yeah.
Do you want me to speak, Vijay, ma'am?
Yes, it's just Vijaya. No, ma'am. Go ahead, Jerry. And it's great if you can switch on your camera. We can see you then while we hear you speak. But otherwise, if your camera is shy, it's fine. We let you.
I'm actually out of office at the moment, so I'm dialing from my mobile. So I'm not sure whether my camera is working.
Go ahead.
But I may be the odd one out here. I'm actually overseas. And I work for a social enterprise called the Oranges Toolkit in Melbourne, in Victoria, and in Australia. And I'm dialing in from Melbourne right now. We have, generally our services involve building mental and emotional agility for workforces across the board, and volunteers and not-for-profit organizations and government agencies. Now, 2019, basically, and our programs are usually face-to-face and, in person because of the practicality of what we provide in terms of our training programs. And when 2019 and the COVID hit, it obviously everything, we in Victoria, particularly in Australia here, we were on a 6-month, stage 4 lockdown, which was that we could not move out of our house apart for essential items. So basically, we had to pivot to digital engagement across businesses. And for us, that was quite a transformative process. And dealing with our clients that we used to deal with on a face-to-face basis, now going digital. One of the things we learned very early on, I used to do about close to 10 to 11 webinars a week, which is, the last count was around 600 webinars in the last 12 to 15 months, and which is huge. And, one of the things that we were very conscious was of the digital fatigue that people go through, because everyone is doing that. And all you do is get up in the morning and sit in front of the computer, and meetings after meetings and presentations after presentations. So I think for us, we had to quickly transform into shorter webinars, make it more visual, engaging. There was a lot of pre-work involved. So we started asking people to do pre-work in terms of doing a little bit of research about a program and also, the industry and all that sort of thing. And individually, we used to provide them specific workbooks to do some activities that could help them engage. And our actual webinar presentation was very short, about 20 minutes. And then we left the remaining 20 to 25 minutes for Q&A. So engaging, and always had one person who would look into the chat box to engage with people who are posting comments. So really acknowledging everyone involved and spending the time, but was really being short, sharp, and things that can engage them visually. Videos of not more than 30 seconds, video digital assets, for example, and a lot of resources post webinar to send it to them so that they can actually in their own time have a look at it. So yeah, that was my experience.
Sorry. Thank you, Jerry, for joining us all the way from far away Australia. You're not the only one, because Shamira's tuning. She's joining us from the Netherlands. But I think all great points that Jerry brought up. I think one of the things that we learn, people, in a webinar is one way to also to keep your audiences engaged. Of course, it's breaking down the content. Nobody wants so much of talk time. They're tired of listening or looking at slides. We found snap polls, break the monotony, introduce a small segment in between. And even your snap polls don't really have to be something connected to the webinar. Hey, how many cups of coffee have you had this morning? When we started our session, the first webinar that we started in 2021, and by then the world had already been going through so many webinars, we really started the session by asking, is this yet another webinar you're attending, and how digitally tired are you? We can't take away a lot of what is happening around us, right? We're at the mercy of the virus, but we have to find pockets of those moments in our lives, in our conversations, where there is humor. Humor is so undervalued, Shamira, as an emotion. We don't realize the power of humor, right? And Jerry, you're right. We talk about the world realizes that the mental health and the emotional health its manifestations are different in different age groups, right? And I think that's what we're all therefore trying to address. So so I think using combinations, using videos, using breaking the monotony in what we see as a stereotypical webinar, I think is what we need to do. And Jerry, I'm not surprised you don't want to switch on your camera if you've already done 600 webinars. Well, Meenal, over to you. Is it just me? Because I can't hear Meenal. Can you guys hear Meenal? Hello?
No, Vijaya, we cannot.
No,
Meenal,
not
we
at all.
can't hear you. Meenal, while Meenal is trying, can we wait to hear from Shaila? I think Shaila raised her hand. There's some problem with the internet. Can't hear you. Shaila, we can't hear you. Can somebody post on the chat group that we can't hear her? And in the meanwhile, I think Sharanappa also wanted to speak. We'll quickly take that and then I will close.
Yeah. Good afternoon, madam. I am Mr. Saranappa Barsi. Hello.
Yes, Sharanappa. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
I am speaking from representing Sadhana Raichur, Karnataka. We are working in the last 25 years in North Karnataka.
Okay.
So we are attending various webinars and we are also conducting webinars. So during the pandemic situation, we are working with migrant workers who are, North Karnataka is a very rain-fed area and a drought-prone area. So many people went in search of jobs to Maharashtra, Mumbai and Goa and Bangalore. During the pandemic, they are returned back. We are this type of the webinars, so they are not reach out to the unprivileged or people. So the one-to-one discussion is better. And also the one stakeholders of the government officials and some other agencies to take care of our target group like migrants and transgenders. We are working in transgenders in Bellary district.
Okay.
We organize the webinar through participation of the transgenders organization, CBOs, the government officials well responded. So this is the thing is there, this webinars is much more better, but is to improve the easily reachable to unreached people. So this is my opinion, madam. Thank you. Thank you for
very
giving
much,
an opportunity to share my experience.
Thank you so much. Please stay safe. Just going back to Shamira, and Shamira, I want to just close on the last part of the session today.
Yeah.
And really touch upon the whole, the team meetings. And I don't want this to be really a HR sort of a construct, but I'm also hearing what Jerry had to say, and he brought a lot of relevant points out there. One of the things that we're constantly trying to do is at Social Lens and Toolbox. I mean, we do the weekly meeting. We're all talking to each other one-on-one. But I think even for the team, just so now everybody's, I have a much younger team. And the standard joke is I raise the average age of the organization. And I keep, trying to, a lot of them are away from their families, they're professionals staying on their own. There's always this constant anxiety at the back of your mind and so on. And so we've just been trying to find different ways that the team is kind of talking, and what is a way we can do, give it the word huddle and so on, but can we do a fun thing every now and then and so on. And team meetings are important, right? So yeah. I want you to just really touch upon really how do we really, how do we kind of engage, and maybe I will hear from you. And then Jerry, if you would like to add something, I think that'll be great as well. There is the formal part of the team meeting where you do it maybe once a week, where you're, it's really a catch up on, what are we doing? What is our plan for this week and so on. But there's also other formats that we need to get the teams to kind of stay engaged, because I think for me, it is the digital fatigue. Even team meeting sets in if all it's going to be about is let's see the CEO dashboard for the week and so on. So Shamira and then Jerry, if you would be so kind to add a little bit, and then we will move to wrapping the session. Yes, Shamira.
I think team meetings are essential. I mean, you can't really escape them, because you have many times, if it's an emergency and you have to have multiple meetings in a week, you have to do it because you're tackling an tackling a problem, or I have to address some issues related to the work you do. But I think once in a week, fun activity is a good idea at this stage. Maybe do some polls, or I think Zoom has some fun rooms I read about. So maybe take the employees and ask them to talk about some activities they're doing at the moment, and describe them. Yeah, I think
A
we sort
virtual
of,
treasure hunt would be great, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think so. Virtual, yeah, or,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think these are some good ideas. I need to do a little bit more research on fun activities, but yeah.
I know. My young colleague was suggesting something that we could do, and I'm going to let her experiment with all of us on that next week. Jerry, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many things we have trialed, and some of them have completely not worked, and others have. And the ones that have worked are particularly, and this is something that I'm very passionate about in terms of team, my team, and the organization generally. What we have done is we have gone through an exercise, and this is actually free from the strengths profiling of team members, right? So you basically
My patients are running out now. I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what we do is we did an exercise as a team to build or to understand each other's strengths. And so therefore, you do an online assessment first, and it's actually free from the website Strengths Profiler website. And once you do that, they dish out a report on your strengths and your various strengths, in fact. And then they highlight some of the strengths that people usually use when they are in a comfortable position. But what are the strengths that you can dip into when you are particularly vulnerable, particularly stressed or isolated? And I don't know how many of your audience are aware, but Australia has a huge problem of loneliness. And it's a social problem, and particularly with COVID, that has become a massive issue, even at workplaces where people are just dialing in, but they're not engaging. So that sort of issue is there. So what we did was, get that strengths profile for each one of us. So I understand what my top 3, top 4 strengths are as a personality, whether it's personal or professional life. And then I try to understand what are the strengths of our team members. And therefore, when we start any team meetings, we actually engage and try to assess other people's based on their strength, their feedback and their engagement. And often we actually start our team meetings with non-technical, non-work related stuff. So we are very, Aussies being Aussies, we always, very passionate about knowing what they did in the week for the weekend, or what have you, and they're pretty good at that. And then it's a bit of a warm-up sort of thing. We have done quiz, we have done lots of those, engagement sort of thing. But I think the understanding someone's strengths rather than their weaknesses, and then trying to focus on their strengths, why someone has said that in a meeting, or not saying enough in a meeting, or being quiet, maybe something is wrong, or somebody is dealing with some issues. So rather than being judgmental, trying to be proactively supporting each other, we found that very, very helpful.
Well,
and
that's fine.
we as a team have come very close. We spend a lot of time together, so obviously if we don't get along well, it's very hard. So we have tried really hard to get to know each other, and that has really transformed the environment, I guess. And people are really comfortable being, even if they are being vulnerable. For example, if you're not well, or if you're going through some stresses in your personal life, and you're challenged with the fact that you have to work and face the team, then they are feeling more comfortable coming out with it, saying, hey, look, I'm dealing with something at the moment, so just bear with me.
Absolutely. I think all great points. I know that we were recently introduced to something called the listening talk, and where we really want to listen to our team members and not just, talk, and exactly to some of the points which Jerry made. See, I think all these are the different sort of threads that we've tried to address with Shamira in today's session, that the whole digital fatigue, whether it is in the messaging that we're putting out about our organization, our programs, about our appeals to raise money, whether it is about the webinars we want to conduct or the sessions that we attend, what the kind of consumption fatigue that's coming when we're with teams and we're working with internal teams. There's a different kind of digital fatigue because, oh my God, it's just another sort of meeting invite that we're going to be there. And I think the incremental value around each of these just starts reducing over a period of time, just because we virtually, at least in India right now, there's not much we can do. We are confined to the four walls and what we're trying to do. So it's not easy. That brings about its own set of challenges. How much of the digital world and virtual things are going to continue is anybody's guess. One can only hazard a guess. Is this going to mean that we're going to completely change the way we work? Possibly. Are there only going to be some components of what we're going to do as we were before? Possibly. It's only going to, because I'm not fully sure we're going to go back to completely where it was. I do wish we can go back to the way it was, but it's anybody's guess. And for a lot of you in the audience here, I know you're all multitasking. You're wearing, those 7 different hats. I think that was Edward de Bono's book, you have those 7 hats. So you're wearing the hat of the fundraiser, you're wearing the hat of figuring out how your program needs to go, you're wearing the hat of managing your teams, a lot of those things. And not having people whom we can meet, our co-workers whom we can sit down, not having our board. We would meet, even if it was once a quarter, we would meet our board, and it gave a great opportunity because you're feeding off the energy in the room. Ideas are coming out that much faster. You're also able to see and gauge the response. I can only hazard what somebody is thinking, whether Shamira's like, well, I've been up since 6 a.m. out here. And Jerry must be like, okay, I'm in Australia and the weekend is already here. How much longer is this going to session go on for? But I think that's the thing. The digital medium does not fully allow us to gauge and experience the breadth and the range of human emotions and interactions. Having said that, it's all on us to see what are the nudges and the shifts that we can make and how we can do the best we can within the boundary lines of the way we are currently operating. So on that note, Meenal, thank you for sharing your comments. We've made a note, Geeta, of a specialized webinar around this. Digital Dialogues will be back in September. We deliberately want to keep it 2 segments a year, in keeping with the digital fatigue. There's and the next segment will be curated to run through 4 in the month of September. Till then, I want to thank all my speakers and guests, all of you who've attended. All my speakers from Kalpana, Chetana, Austin, Manoj, Shamira. Is there anybody I'm missing? I don't think so. Thank you all for joining us. I think Digital Dialogues is really a dialogue. It is for us to share some of our experiences, some of our learnings, and to know that we're not doing this alone. Each of us are battling with different problems in different ways, and some very similar. मैं चाहूँगी कि आप सब लोग safe रहे, healthy रहे, stay responsible, be responsible, take care of all of yourselves. Have a safe, wonderful, healthy weekend, and we look forward to seeing you soon. I know my team is requested for you to switch on your cameras so that we can take a picture. Please post your comments on our social media handles. We value each of your comments. It motivates us. It inspires us to want to do more. And that can only come when you tell us, it's not about getting the likes, but telling us that what was a takeaway for you, what you enjoyed. And I am so humbled and grateful to see so many faces here, people who have become familiar faces, where we've created this small little community here, to see Vandana, to see Ravi, to see Geeta. It's very comforting for us to see you all here with us as we move forward. So I look forward to seeing you again. Our social media announcements will have a bunch of things. We have the new virtual labs, which is going to be launched. We have the Good Data Collective, which is being launched. There's an incubator at Toolbox, which is being launched. So April is the month of a lot of launches. I want to thank Shreya Mukherjee, who has been anchoring this session for us all the way from Singapore. Joita, who has been very, very persistent in reaching out to all our nonprofits to make sure that you tune in and join us. To Hiranya and Vyoma, who, as my communications team, make sure that all the posts are going out. And to Mimansa, Alifia, Ajay, Ruchika, Anushka, who come up with Shankar, who come up with wonderful ideas, and Manjula, my very senior colleague, all of you who come up with wonderful ideas from whom I draw inspiration and hopefully continue to stay inspired with all the work that our circle of network nonprofit partners do. So thank you all very much for tuning in today. Okay, Shreya, we're all ready for our pictures. We'll pose for the cameras now.
Yes, thank you, Vijay. I think I speak for everyone when I say, we have you to thank for so much, and for facilitating digital dialogues as well, and helping us have such amazing conversations. If we could all turn our videos on, if you would like to be a part of the photo, and Vyoma, if you could take a few screenshots, please. Okay, I think we've got it. I think so, yes.
Well, thank you very much. I would request for the Social Lens and Toolbox teams to stay down for the debrief. But for all of you, thank you. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. You too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.